I would like to turn your attention to issues closer to home. There's a solid archaeological evidence that African sailors, more specifically the Phoenicians, came to the eastern shores of the U.S. over 50,000 years ago and coexisted with native peoples. Also, several tribes became involved in international trade on the high seas through the Phoenicians. And for some time, they've always had this story that, oh, the Phoenicians were white sailors. In fact, they were not. They were black ocean-going sea merchants that had established international trade on the high seas long before the white man came to the Western Hemisphere. You know what, brother? If you were to walk into any mosque in America and you just laid your hands on the first person or the third person or the fifth person that you see, you realize that you're laying your hands on a Native American? I believe there were only 8% of the slaves that came to America. So how is it that there's so many more people that they claim are black or African Americans? I think they got the numbers wrong, because a lot of Native Americans are the ones that they're counting as black folks too.
When we look at, so I'm like you guys, I celebrate American history, which is our history, every month out the year. And I hope that for parents and kids that go home, now we have the internet, now we have tools at our hand, and no, you aren't being taught Black American history in schools, but now we can still go out and find that history. It's not like when we grew up and maybe it was buried someplace in the encyclopedia. All you gotta do is go type in some words and you can get it right now and understand where you've come from and how special you are.
Can I just end with this one thing? These four brothers sitting here, we didn't all come from Africa. And there was a there was a country before 1492, and our history goes way beyond 1492. So you can't start us at 1492. We were always here. We were always here.
We're in southern Mexico, in Oaxaca state, and this is the part of Mexico that is the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. And this is the narrowest part of Mexico. And this allowed the Olmecs to have a port city on the Pacific and on the Atlantic side of Mexico. Mainstream archaeologists are talking about Monte Alban as being a Zapotec city, although they realize that the very earliest parts of Monte Alban are Olmec. And we'll see the Olmec figures, some with thick beards, others looking very much like Africans, or even some like Chinese, as the Olmecs did. So here we are at the famous Gallery of the Dancers, as archaeologists call it today. And we see this whole wall of stelas. These have early Olmec hieroglyphs on it. And it's quite possible that this was actually some kind of a medical university where people with their organs are showing, and that perhaps lecturers and doctors were pointing to different diseases or other medical problems that people would have. But we see again how many of them have the beards, such as this guy here. He has the full beard, which is very much of a Olmec trait. American Indians don't have facial hair, and they're unable to grow beards or mustaches. Other of the figures look very African and are therefore Olmecs in the archaeological eyes. We see again more heavily bearded figures like here. So now the mainstream thought is that it was the Olmecs who started Monte Alban around 500 BC, or perhaps even earlier. And in fact, archaeologists have found here beneath us a large tomb with huge granite slabs that are covering a tomb, and inside is a polychrome murals and things like that, but we're not allowed to see that right now. And I lucked out, I found a peso.